Where do we go from here as a nation, dear saints? You've seen the pictures and the videos of the insurrection that took place in the nation's capital. An organized effort fashioned for the sole purpose of disrupting the count of our electors' ballots so as to delay our official election results. The actions were taken, incited, and supported by individuals at the highest level of government. People lost their lives. The democratic process we hold dear was threatened. And what have we seen in the wake of the incident? The blame game in full swing, right? And it's been exactly as we would expect it to be. No one, and I mean no one, is taking personal responsibility for anything. Fingers are being pointed. People are calling for one another's heads, but no one is taking responsibility for what occurred. And so many voices are crying out. And you've seen this passing on social media. You've seen it in the media elsewhere. You've seen it and heard it from friends and family probably. The heartfelt conviction. This is not us. We are better than this. This is not America. And what I want to make clear right now, what we need to admit to ourselves right now in this nation, is that these people making this statement are absolutely wrong. This is America. This has become us. To say anything less than that is to pass the blame once again, accepting no responsibility, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will change. Here's the real truth that we need to hear. And it's not an easy one, friends. You are to blame. I am to blame. Our elected representatives are to blame. Our president is to blame. We have let this become us. This is we, the people of the divided states of America, in all of its infamy. We say we don't want this. We say we don't like this way, and yet we do everything we can to maintain the status quo as it is. We let our representatives get away with murder, lies, falsehoods, inciting violence, whatever it might be, because we've bought into the political narratives that have become so ingrained within us that they have become our religions, our truth, irrefutable, undeniable, incontrovertible. They have become, in essence, objects of our worship in our nation. Our elected politicians know this. And they've created propaganda and rhetoric to fuel those fires, to reinforce those narratives, to demonize and seek to falsify any other narrative out there that might conflict with that one. And this has been done so carefully and so well that the facts and the truth no longer matter except the ones that are fabricated to contribute to the efficacy of the narrative with which we ascribe. Media, and especially social media, throws kerosene on that fire. Yeah, we can say anything and everything we want in social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, or wherever it might be. And we do. We practice that right all the time. But to what end? Because it only seems to further divide us, doesn't it? We reinforce our political narratives by surrounding ourselves around people who think like we do. And if that's not enough, social media does the exact same thing to us as they begin to promote our interests to us and connect us again with people who think like we do and products aimed just for us. The sad irony of social media, while it connects us more than ever before, is that it serves to divide us further without us even realizing it. But we can't stop. We can't stop posting. We can't stop proving the righteousness of our narratives. We can't stop erecting walls of division to prove that we're right and you're wrong, and if you don't agree with us, then to heck with you. Ask yourself the next time you think about posting that political meme or statement on Facebook, why am I doing this? What good is it? Am I trying to unify people or am I trying to divide? To promote only my narrative? Our representatives hold great power and action and should be taken at the highest levels. There should be a response that happens. But the truth we need to admit, the difficult, hard truth that you and I and all of us in this nation need to admit if we are going to have anything change, is that we, the people, should bear the burden of the blame too. Our politicians represent us. Our politicians are us. We did this to ourselves, and we continue to do it over and over and over again. We participate in and grow these toxic narratives that we have put ourselves into. We spread the rhetoric. We demonize each other. We create false labels. We see our side as infallible, beyond reproach, gospel truth. We carry weapons to protests. We make our religion fit into our politics. We buy into this my way or the highway approach. We preach and talk about unity and do nothing to make it a reality. We, the people, are to blame. And before anything can change in this nation, we have to admit that right now, without letting the moment pass us by. We have to bear responsibility for our part in this disaster. Only then can we answer the question we all want to and desperately long for. Where do we go from here? How can we do better? It starts with seeing that we are all to blame. We are all to blame for this division in our country. We are all part of the problem. We need to see that our political and ideological narratives are the problem. It's time for us to do the hard and difficult work of changing those narratives. And make no mistake, to do this is to be an addict seeking to get clean. It's a long and it's a difficult road to take. Admitting that we have a problem and working to give up what we have become dependent on. But my friends, that is the only way. No legislation or consequences for our politicians and those that storm the Capitol, or any new security measures that come out of this, as necessary as those things are, they will not make the changes that we are looking for. It will have to come down to each of us accepting responsibility and wanting to change. Working towards that change in our own lives first, and together at the same time. We need to change our narrative, live a different story, a story that encompasses the nation we long to be rather than the one that we've become, a story that undergirds and informs our politics rather than the other way around. And this is where, and I truly believe this, we as Christians have something to offer. A narrative of hope rather than fear, of grace rather than hate, of enemies eating at the same table together, of reconciliation, reconciling our differences, of human worth being greater than ideology, of power being used to serve rather than for personal gain, of honesty and integrity and forgiveness. A narrative where the hungry are fed and the homeless housed and the sick healed and the naked clothed. A narrative that promotes unity and oneness. This is God's narrative, fully realized in the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is and has always been the epic narrative of which our stories are a part. It is our story. And we so often forget it, or we neglect it, or perhaps we even choose to manipulate it to fit into our own world ideologies that consume us. But God's story is a different way of thinking about the world, about our role within it, about being humanity together. In God's story, we are freed from our bonds of enslavement to all other narratives. Free to be truly us, who God created us to be. Free to realize a nation and a world that we all long and hope for. Free to live into the kingdom of God that is both here and now and yet to be fully realized to come. Now is the time for the church to shine light into our nation. Not false light of domineering power, or of manipulation and collusion, or of proselytization and condescension, but true light that is seen in the way of Jesus, the way of grace, the way of agape love, love that we choose. We can take up the only narrative where truth is found, where hope rests, and where transformation is possible. We, the church, can show the nation another way.